when we are buying and selling cards, you don't make money on the sale. You make money on the buy. If you can find a deal, if you can find a good deal at a show, and it doesn't mean that you're getting it for 70, 80%, maybe there's a card with no comps, right? Where the seller's understood value and my understood value of it is different.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cards and Content. If you are new here, welcome. If you are a returning listener, thank you for coming back once again. Shout out to everybody who listened to last week's episode. We got a lot of really good feedback around that. Obviously, Kyle was the biggest name we had got around who should we have on the podcast. So it's cool to see so many people tune into that one and just give feedback and give some compliments to Kyle as well. Obviously, he's absolutely crushing right now, so it's fun to sit down with him after a Dallas card show, catch up, and just hear, how he's built what he's built and what he's working on. So if you guys haven't already, check that episode out. But got a few things to get into on today's episode. We've got another special guest later. This is another guy who's absolutely crushing the content game, our friend Roth Cards. Josh will be in the podcast a little bit later. That's another one of our Dallas interviews. I talked about it last week, but Dallas was great. Got a lot of really cool content, talked to some great people. The show was incredible, but even the content afterwards with 3 interviews was a lot of fun. So that interview will be later, but I want to start with the the one thing on my mind today. Really, right now, it is card shows. We've done a lot of we've had a lot of conversations, done a lot of planning here internally. We just got some big card shows coming up. So the first one is actually, I'm going to plug this because it is a big part of our business and it is happening this week. I'm sure some of you are aware of it just from outside of our business, just in general if you're in the hobby. But the Whatnot card show is this week. This is a massive digital card show. Million plus cards for sale on the app. It's 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I will be live Thursday, April 3rd at 8 p.m. This is something we talked about it a little bit last week, and I would love to get into more of a full episode breakdown of this. I don't think we'll have the time today to do it, but this is 1A or 1B on biggest live shows of the year for us. We'll have a few thousand individual buy it now items for sale, including hobby boxes, packs, merch, retail, discounted retail, supplies, singles, both raw and graded, memorabilia, a lot of things in our store. It's huge in that regard. Then we're going to have, again, we haven't actually shared this information now because we're recording this a little early, but by the time this interview drops, it will be out. We'll have over $20,000 in giveaways. We're giving away a case of Transcendent Baseball. We've got multiple big cards to give away, multiple Zion cases, double-digit Zion cases. We work with them a lot. They've donated a bunch of stuff. We'll have 1,000 plus packs of Prism football from Blasters. We're going to sell all of those at $1. I think there's 10 cases worth at $1. We've got some insane things planned for this. 100 case hits at $1, $50,000 plus in auctions. It's going to be absolutely bananas. And just the work required on that. We've been planning for this for so long. Once we found out when it was going to be, and it is a big deal in our world. That is Thursday this week. Come check it out. I'll be live for probably 6 to 8 hours. It's nuts. Then the next card show. I'm going to announce this now. I'll probably have an announcement a day before this podcast goes live because we're recording this on Friday. But the Grove City Card Fest. This is a card show we will be running with our friend B Sports. He's the gentleman we run the Shipshawana Card Fest with. He was on the podcast. Brad was on the podcast earlier. He was, Brian, guest 3, I think. I think he was guest 3. Brad was guest 3. Great friend. We had an opportunity from a customer, a fellow Grove City resident who is a customer of ours and is a great person by the name of John. John was running this show out of Central Crossing High School, which is where the show will be, as a fundraiser for the band. So we'll be taking it over as of now, and the first show will be on Sunday, May 4th. May 4th is a special date for us, as it is the anniversary of the new shop opening. Our new shop opened May 4th, 2021. Unintentionally a Star Wars theme, but it will be May 4th, 9 to 3 p.m. will be general admission at the Grove City Card Fest. Again, Central Crossing High School is about 4 to 5 minutes away from the shop. Super, super close. We'll obviously have big things going on in shop that weekend as well for our anniversary. But excited to partner with Brad to build this show into something special. My guy John has done a great job into building this show, getting it off the ground, and helping raise money for the Central Crossing Band. We are taking it over. We're continuing that. The proceeds from admission and other pieces of this show will go to the Central Crossing Band. We will continue to support that cause with this, but hopefully this will be a big time show. The goal when Brad and I started to partner together for our events division was to put Columbus on the map for the show scene. It does not have many, a ton of shows now. It's got a couple that have been staples for a while here. Obviously, Xenia's not too far away, but we want to continue to elevate the card game here in Columbus. That's always been one of the goals. Obviously, we're doing that in Indiana as well, in Shipshewana, and hopefully some other ones here soon, but excited for this one. Grove City Card Fest, Sunday, May 4th, 9 to 3 is general admission. There will be an early admission option. I believe that will be like $5 entry. That'll start at 8 a.m. We'll have some more details about it soon. I'll probably have if you're watching, there'll probably be a flyer on the screen. If you're not, you can check us out on Instagram. I'm sure I'll have it on my page at Card Collector 2 there. So that's obviously exciting. And then the Memorial Day Shipshewana Card Fest. Friday, May 23rd, Saturday, May 24th in Shipshewana, Indiana. If you guys follow our content on really any platform, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, we've put out content about Shipshewana. The first one at end of February, early March was incredible. We've grown it this time. My guy Brad sat down with the team at SGC, and SGC will be at the Shipshewana Card Fest. This is big news, probably one of the biggest additions ever to this show. The great team at SGC is going to be in Shipshewana, Indiana, accepting submissions. My understanding from Brad is they are working on some show promos for that. Hopefully I'll have some more information soon, but Brad is working directly with the team at SGC for that. That's obviously a big, great addition we are extremely excited for. Growing the trade night space. Our friends at Ludex do an incredible job of trade night. They have supported trade night for a long time. Absolutely incredible people. We love working with them at the trade night. They've provided pizza, 10,000 plus square feet. They do an incredible job. So shout out to our friends at Ludex for that. We're going to have more vendor tables, more than ever. I think last time, we're adding, I have to check with Brad on the number, but it will be over 400 this time. It was 350 plus last time. We're over 400 this time. Working on continuing to improve the kids' scavenger hunt, potentially growing that out into a bigger space. Our friends at Zion Cases are back. We have some really big things in the works outside of all of those great additions. I mean, we're 70,000 plus square feet now, taking on an additional 20,000. This has become a big time show in the Midwest, and we're really, really trying hard to build this into one of the best card shows in the country. I realize traveling into Shipshewana, Indiana is definitely the biggest constraint, but I think we've heard it from people we've had conversations with that if you can get to Shipshewana, Indiana, it is a great time. It is a can't miss type show. For those of you that are ever considering it, Fort Wayne has an airport, and I think South Bend is the other one. I'd have to confirm, but I know there's 2 airports that are less than an hour away from Shipshewana, and that same distance is what it is, what it is in Dallas. Dallas is 15 minutes, I think, away from the airport. So we're not to Dallas level yet, but we are working on building something really, really cool there, and I'll talk about it every time I can. That show is awesome, and I'm excited to keep building that. So card shows are, the one thing today. You got a point A, B, and C, but certainly on my mind right now with Whatnot Card Show this week, Grove City Card Fest for the first time ever on Sunday, May 4th, Shop Anniversary Day, and then a couple weeks after that, we will have Ship Shawana. So exciting times, a lot of fun content coming, a lot of preparation and hard work here, but really excited for those 3 shows coming up. We recorded last week's episode before the Paul Skeens ended, right before it ended, but it has since ended. Unfortunately, we didn't touch it in last week's episode, but we've got it now. $1.1 million. $1.1 million for a PSA 1010 Paul Skeens debut patch auto. I said it before and I will continue to say it. I don't anticipate this being beat in terms of overall sales. I anticipate this record will stand as the highest selling debut patch auto for a while. My next point, we'll get into somebody who I think could beat it for different reasons. I'll get into that in a second. But 1.1 million. I think the most surprising piece of this was Dick's Sporting Goods comes out as the company that purchased this card. There's an article on Bleacher Report. It says Paul Skeens' one-of-one MLB debut rookie card purchased by Dick's Sporting Goods for $1.1 million. The statement they had put out, I think it was from their executive chairman, Ed Stack. I'll read this to you. This is from that Bleacher Report article. It says, Dick's is passionate about bringing fans closer to the game, Stack said. Acquiring the Paul Skeens debut patch auto card enables us to celebrate his incredible talent while giving our athletes a unique opportunity to experience a piece of baseball history up close. We're thrilled to bring the special card home and display it in our Pittsburgh House of Sports store, where it can inspire the next generation of athletes and collectors. And I think when I see this information, the first thing that comes to my mind is, did Dick's Sporting Goods spend $1 million to inspire collectors and athletes? Like, I'm all for inspiring the next generation. I aim to do that with my content, to be what I did not have when I was younger, somebody to look up to and to aspire to be, and to show younger collectors what you can do when you work hard and spend a lot of time in your craft. And that is the goal of this content, is to aspire the next generation. $1.1 million on one card. Is that the only thing with it? So what else goes into that? Is it a marketing tactic only? Is this a marketing expense to also inspire? Is this something we're going to see future companies, other companies get into? Like, Brian and I talked about this with this topic. I think it said on here, I think when we were looking, like Costco, I think it said it was a Washington-based company. Are we going to see Costco in Washington buy the Jaden Daniels Prison Black Finite and display that in the store for, aspirational, purposes to, or inspirational purposes to inspire the next generation of card collector and athletes? Brian's looking them up now. Yeah, Costco, Washington-based company. Is that Washington, D.C. or Washington? Actually, Washington. Because if it's Washington, the state, then it becomes, it says D.C. Okay, I was like, if it's Washington, the state, then it's like, hey, the best Jackson Smith and Jigba or somebody like that. But I think that's the point of it, is, will we see this model from other companies? Will other companies buy this? Like, is this a tactic where Dick's Sporting Goods view this as an alternative asset, a storage of capital, where they're like, hey, Paul Skeens is the guy. This is a great local thing. We get the marketing buzz from it. There's the stories. That has to have some ROI for Dick's Sporting Goods. It's going to definitely draw people in the store, but $1 million plus, is this something? I'm very curious of your guys' opinion. Is this something we will continue to see as the sports card market continues to grow and develop? Or is this a complete one-off thing? It's fascinating topic if you tell me that some of these other companies are going to continue to get into the trading card space. I'm not optimistic that is the answer here, but an incredible that they admitted they were the one that bought it. That is, I definitely think that's cool, and I don't think it's a bad thing for the industry. I think that kind of exposure that Dick's is generating with this card. Obviously, the card itself has a lot of exposure, selling for $1 million, and Paul Skeens and what Paul Skeens is to baseball. I think it saw the other day was the youngest pitcher to start an opening day since Jose Fernandez in 2014. Obviously, Paul Skeens is great, but now we've got additional sports card relevancy with Dick's Sporting Goods being the company that bought this. So a lot of good pub about it. $1 million plus card. But I would say I don't anticipate that record being broken. Obviously, there's going to be guys come up. But it brings up the question. Fanatics Topps is supposed to get the basketball license in 2025. I believe it's later this year, in around October. And we were having this conversation the other day internally. But there's been, rumors, and obviously this is all speculation, and I would say at this point unlikely to even happen. But Cooper Flagg has made comments that he wants to come back to Duke. That has been known. They brought him, I think it was a senior day at Duke. They brought him out with time left. And, you saw him and his dad did it. They were doing this like signal, like one more year, like let's run it back. And it brings up this point, and I was thinking about this where, again, all speculation. I think we would all sit here and say that seems unlikely. Duke just won last night. They beat Arizona by, I think, double digits. And it looks like, hey, Cooper Flagg looks to be a superstar. He looks to be great. But I think about this where I think if Cooper Flagg does go back to Duke, I don't think that's a great spot to be for an inaugural basketball class for Topps to take over. You have Victor in 23-24. He's obviously hurt now. He's doing, I think, the blood clots? He's out for the rest of the year. 24-25, you don't really have anybody. You've got LeBron James' son. That's obviously had a lot of buzz around it. Topps has done a great job having some dual cards of those two with some chases, and that's obviously been great. You've got Edie, you've got Connect, you've got, Risha Shear, Sar. We've got guys, but there's nobody on Cooper Flagg's level or Victor's level. Nobody with that kind of demand. And if you take Cooper Flagg out of 25-26 basketball for Topps, theoretically, I believe that will be their first inaugural class. Again, I would have to confirm this. The timelines, I probably need a lawyer's help on this. But if that's Topps inaugural basketball class, and you've got Ace Bailey, you've got the kid from Baylor, whose name's escaping me. I know there's a kid from Illinois. You've got Dylan Harper. You've got some guys, but it seems very much like a 24 type class rather than a 23 type class, rather than a Zion type class. And I think Cooper Flagg going pro, not going pro would be hard for multiple years of basketball in a row. Obviously, you've got case hits now with Panini, and that's carried a lot of the basketball product with Kabooms, and some of the chase cards there. But to pull Cooper Flagg out of basketball cards next year, if he does not go pro and stays at Duke, then you're getting his second-year college cards, and we all know those are not nearly as desired as Bowman Chrome U basketball, which drops this week and has Cooper Flagg in it. That, man, I think as card collectors, especially if you are someone that, like us, sells boxes of cards, if you are Topps, if you're the company making these cards, you are certainly hoping this young man goes pro. He stays healthy and he goes pro, because having Cooper Flagg in 25-26 basketball would be humongous, especially for Topps in their first year in basketball, or even if Panini keeps it and still has the ability to produce case hits. It's just not having Cooper Flagg in 25-26 basketball. I was thinking about the other day when he said he's going to come back, and you see him now in the Elite Eight. Again, this episode's going to come out after they've played their Elite Eight game. It is Friday here. We are recording this early, again, to get it processed, edited, and up in time for Mondays at noon. So they're going to play an Elite Eight game. I'm hoping they win. I've picked them to win a national title. Hopefully they win. But hopefully, at the end of the day, Cooper Flagg stays healthy and he goes pro, because I think it would be a massive win for trading cards if Cooper Flagg is a rookie in 25-26 product. We'll see. Bowman Chrome drops this week. We'll see what he does the rest of the way. But it looks good so far. We'll see. Real quick talking point here. I saw this. I think Darren Ravel in his. I don't know if it's his company. I don't know enough about it, but Darren Ravel had a post on IG with Collect Media. I know he's involved in that, but it was a really cool one, and I had to share this. Michael Jordan's pro debut jersey sold. It sold for $800 in 1985 at a charity auction. Thought this was a really cool thing. Sold at Sotheby's recently for $4.2 million. Michael Jordan debut pro jersey, $4.2 million in 2025. Absolutely incredible. How about a $4 million come up? I've heard of some pretty big come ups in the trading card collectible space before. That seems next. It seems next level. Definitely gets you wondering on what some of these other major debut jerseys would sell for and who could come close to that. I would imagine some of the ones that would break those records and it would have higher sales are likely pre-Michael Jordan. Maybe some other sport type stuff. I'm going to guess early baseball is probably where some of those records would be broken. I can't imagine many would beat a $4.2 million sale. I can't imagine there's more than a handful of athletes ever that would beat that record for Jordan. It's pretty cool, especially when the jersey originally sold at a charity auction in '85 for $800. So shout out to Darren Ravel and Collect Media for sharing that. I thought that was a pretty cool piece. I actually did not know it was up for auction, so it was cool to see that. All right, let's get into the interview. This is going to be a fun one. Again, we sat down with Josh at Roth Cards at the Dallas Card Show to chat, see what he's up to, what his journey has been like. I think you guys will find this one interesting. You'll see some similarities to Kyle's episode. So let's kick it over and listen to our friend Josh, Roth Cards at the Dallas Card Show. All right, guys, we are back. We're live from the Dallas Card Show with another interview. One I've been looking forward to for quite some time. Excited to bring my guy Josh on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
You guys know him as Roth Cards. Josh, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited. We are here at the Dallas Card Show. It's going to be a great weekend. I'm ready.
It's going to be a good weekend, but first, we've got a great podcast interview here for you today. So Josh is one of those guys I've got to see firsthand come up through the card game. I've looking back on it, we tried running a trade night.
Yeah. Right.
Tried to get that. We had some stuff in the works. You ended up getting sick. That didn't work out. So it's fun to actually get some content together here on the channel. But I've seen you get to grow so much from where you started to where you are now, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. But it didn't. Humble beginnings. We've talked about this a little bit offline. How did you get into the card game? How did you get to where we are right now?
Yeah, man. Well, one, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good show. So I got in the hobby late 2019, early 2020, right around that time, pre-COVID. I'm not a COVID baby.
He's not a COVID.
Right, pre-COVID, and then I started out buying, base rookie cards, kind of what everybody was doing, and I got to give a shout out to Gary Vee because I actually saw his posts on Instagram. At the time, I was actually selling sneakers. I was buying and selling sneakers, just trying to make $50-$100. I wasn't really sure like what lane I wanted to go in life yet. I was just kind of figuring out as I go. And Gary Vee posted one day on Instagram. He was like, if you sell sneakers, you gotta check out sports cards.
Oh yeah.
Now, at that time, I knew what sports cards was because as a kid, my mom would buy me boxes growing up. So I already had sports cards in my closet in binders. Like I knew what sports cards were, but I haven't looked at them in a while. So I do some research. I start kind of, digging into the hobby, figuring out what sports cards were, what the market was, and if there was a market, like kind of like how sneakers, there was a market. And next thing I know, I go to my local card shop. I pick up some Kobe rookies, and I pick up like an Allen Iverson rookie, and I'm just I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at eBay, just trying to see what the market is. And I think I sell a card on eBay. I make maybe $10. I'm buying $5 cards to like sell for $8. Just trying to get my feet wet and learn what the hobby's all about. And then from there, I just kept researching, and because that's really what it was. It's really when you want to get into something and grow, it's so much research that's not shown on the camera. That's shown behind the scenes. So just hours on Facebook, and I was just joining groups, really like sports card groups, buy, sell, trade, and seeing what people were posting and seeing what was selling and what was hot and what people were buying, and trying to find local card shows to go to at the time too. So that was early 2020 from that time. So
all uphill from there.
And then from there, I actually went to the first Dallas show, That was late 2020. So
November.
November 2020.
That was one of the greatest shows I've ever been to.
Oh, that was my greatest show ever. That started everything off.
For sure.
So from January to November, I was just buying, really.
Yep.
You know, I probably had 3 to 5K just net worth, you know, like just from sneakers, flipping. And then I just started buying sports cards. I was buying, because the NBA had stopped too.
Yep.
So I remember I was buying Jason Tatum base rookies, PSA 9s, PSA 10s, Porzingis base rookies, PSA 9s, PSA 10s. And then I was just, you know, on Facebook, whatever, Instagram, and, you know, building up a social media platform at the time and just buying good deals, you know, buying cards that I thought were cool, quarterbacks, basketball. Fast forward to November 2020, I go to the Dallas Card Show, first big show, like first show of this magnitude, really.
Yep.
And I'm walking around the show. I actually have a glitter box. I have a little glitter box. When you open it up, there's a little mirror right there. Like, it was like a girl's like makeup box, bro. Like, that's what I had to carry my cards in. And I remember I go to a dealer, I'm trying to sell a card, and they're not giving me what I want. You know, they're lowballing me, bro. And I'm just like, I end up selling the card, but I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna sell this entire card collection I have walking up to people. Like, this is not gonna work. And at this time, from March to November, I built up my collection. It's probably worth anywhere from 10 to 15K. You know, just buying and selling, doing sneakers on the side as well.
Yep.
You know, figuring out ways to make money, you know, just in life in general, just trying to, you know, whether I'm doing a side hustle or, you know, buying PS5s and trying to make $100, you know, whatever. So my whole collection is probably worth 10 to 15K at this time. And I walk around this show and I'm like, I gotta find a table to set up at, you know, and I see this kid, his name was Trey. He had 3 showcases, 2 were full, 1 was like half full. I'm like, yo, I'll pay you to let me set up with you right now. Like, first ever show, I'm just like trying to make a friend too, you know? He's like, all right, let's do it. So I set up and I put all my cards in and I'm like, all right, it's probably like Thursday night, you know, I got to the show early and, you know, it's like dealer setup and people are walking around the room and these 2 guys walk up and they're asking me questions about all my cards. How much is this one? How much is this one? How much is this one? I'm giving them prices, and then I'm like, you know what? You could just take the whole showcase, because I knew what I paid for everything. I paid like $12,000. I was like, you could take my whole entire, you know, collection for $12K. And they look at each other and they're like, we'll give you $9,500. And I'm like, oh shoot, like, I feel like I was on Shark Tank for a minute. You know, I'm like, wow, like, could I take 12? Could I lose 3K though? Did I want to lose money on this whole collection? Now, at the time, I'd never seen $10,000. You know, it's easy to have things worth amount of money, but until you sell everything at once, you know, it doesn't seem like it's a whole big, you know, $10,000, you know, collection. You're just like, you buy a $1,000 card, you buy a $500 card, you sell it. You know, it's always just building up the snowball. So I counter, I'm like, look, you guys can have everything for $10,000. I'm losing a little bit on the deal, but I know that if I sell this entire collection, I could turn that 10K to 12K, 15K quicker than trying to sell one card by one card. It was probably 50 cards.
Yep.
And they said, all right, deal. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like that one deal, taking an L on that deal, it snowballed into where I'm at right now. Just from that one deal, losing 2K, taking that $10,000 and just flipping it up over the next, you know, 5 years. And so like that is like the initiation deal that really just got me where I'm at right now. So
that is insane, but such an interesting topic, and I want to hit on this. I want to go back to your humble beginnings here in a second, because I want to know, you know, we both share, you know, the Gary Vee intro story into this, right? It was very big on me quitting my job, and I want to get into that, but I think this point about going back to go forward is something a lot of people in this industry, a lot of people in this hobby have struggled with, right? I am the perfect example of this. I am, you know, there's a lot of like emotion, sentimental, there's a lot of, you know, there's different things that go into taking a loss and selling a card.
Yep.
But I think that is crucial to understand. It's not about the loss, it's about what you can do with the money and how you can move that forward. And this is clearly the best example of it.
It's the truth.
It's turned into, really, I mean, you're building an empire here.
Yep.
You've got the content piece of it, you've got the card piece of it. But tell me, how did, at that, you know, that point, how did you see that going backwards was actually going to end up being a win for you?
Yeah, I mean, so I've always said it's about building the snowball. Like that's one thing that I've always remembered and I've always thought of. And when you can get a lump sum of cash, you know, because at that moment when they offered, let's just say, you know, round it to 10K, I knew I was in it at 12, and I knew I was taking a 2K loss. And at that moment, I had to make a decision. Would I wait and try to sell one by one these cards all weekend at Dallas show?
Yep.
Not even promising I'm going to even get to 12K, because it doesn't mean that every card's going to sell and everybody's going to give me what I want for each card or what I paid for each card, versus I know the type of person what I can do with that $10,000. I know I can walk this room and I can find some deals. And I want it to be clear too, when we are buying and selling cards, you don't make money on the sale. You make money on the buy. If you can find a deal, if you can find a good deal at a show, and it doesn't mean that you're getting it for 70, 80%, maybe there's a card with no comps, right? Where the seller's understood value and my understood value of it is different. It's all about, if I can find the right guy, or if he can find the right guy, there's like a 2-3K difference in there, you know? It just depends on what the card is. But I knew that with that 10,000, I could turn it to 15K quicker than selling all these cards one by one and then taking that 12K throughout the show. And even then I wouldn't have the 10K all in one. Maybe I sell a 2K card. Now I got 2K. So somebody walks up with a 3K card, I can't buy it. Because I literally cleared out my account for this show in November 2020. I went there with all cards, no cash. I was like, my goal is to sell everything and then rebuy all new stuff. And I mean, just what happened, the first deal of the day was that deal. And I believe like we all get those moments in time where, you know, there's a fork in the road. And if I would have, and it also comes down to being greedy. I could have been greedy. No, I paid 12K. I can't do 10. Like, I appreciate it, guys. And who knows where my journey would be if that was the route I went. Now, I also believe there's no wrong choice. It just would have been a different path that I would have went down. And maybe the next guy walked up and offered 10K again. You never know. But I think that if you go the route where there's no greediness and you're betting on yourself, not betting on the cards or betting that somebody's going to come up and try to buy more, and you're betting on yourself that you can take that 10K and flip it up, you know, or 2K or 5K, whatever the amount is, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, is that you're betting on yourself. Like you said, you know, Dallas at the time, still the same Dallas today. I'm very open.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. Dallas is the best card show in the country.
100%.
Outside of the National. It is different. It's got everything here. It's perfect. You got the venue. There's so many things about Dallas. But I think you said it best. When you're betting on yourself, you've got this idea that I'm at a really good show. I've got $10,000 in liquid cash. Yep. I can walk around with hundreds of dealers and a million plus cards. I mean,
right.
This room is full. This show is full of that stuff. So I love that quote because I think that is so true. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, go backwards to go forward. But
you have to.
Again, perfect example. Now I want to get back to the beginning with the Gary Vee thing. I followed your content for a long time. I'm really big, and especially on IG, on like the motivational stuff. I love it. It fuels a lot of what I do. And I know you're super big into it. I've seen the Roth cards.
Yeah.
8 a.m. Let's get at it.
Black coffee. I'm ready.
Black coffee. We're eating the fruit. We got a 2-mile run in. I'm gonna guess. Especially with you being into Gary Vee's content, this is not something new for you to be intrinsically motivated person.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, that's just how I was. If I wanted something, I had to go get it. When I was 8 years old, I wanted the new PSP that came out. It wasn't like, I could just get it. No, I had to walk around my neighborhood with a bucket of soap and water and wash cars for $8. And that, I think, also framed me to just not be a salesman, right? But a salesman. Yep. I had to figure out a way to get the person who's going to answer the door to let me wash their car for $8. And I remember one day, another story. I remember one day, I walked around for 2 hours, $8. Hi, my name is Josh. I'm washing cars today for $8. Are you interested? No, not today. I did that. 20 people said no. It's now probably 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a summer day. I'm tired. I'm like, you know what? This next house, I'm going to tell them $5. And I'm going to see if they say yes. Maybe it's the price. I don't know. I went from 8 to 5. I literally walk up. This little old lady answers the door. I'm like, hi, my name's Josh. I'm washing cars today for $5. Are you interested? She said, okay. I said, well, it was the price. Wash her car. She gives me $10. So I get a $5 tip, So from there, that was just a lesson in itself. Like, okay, sometimes you got to start a little lower, but if you do the good work, then you'll end up making more in the end, right? So like, it was just lessons like that growing up where I knew that if I wanted to become great and become successful, that it takes hard work. And a lot of times you got to be self-motivated. You can't wait for somebody else to motivate you. You can't wait for somebody else to shake you. Like, you have to put in the work to become. No, it comes from within, right? And that's just how I've always been. I've always been that go-getter. I got to get to it. I was just doing a lot of stuff growing up and trying to just make $1, but the right way, the right way. It's always been the right way. It's always morals over money, and that's just how I've always been.
I love it. That's I love the $5 car wash at 8 years old.
Man.
I don't think I was doing that.
It made me who I am today.
I respect it for sure. I mean, it's you've built something, and it's clear like you're just a motivated person. And on that topic, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but you're talking about the base rookies, and you had a showcase worth $10,000. And if I know anything about you now, you probably bought some cards this weekend to Dallas that are worth more than your showcase was.
Absolutely.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
How did you go from base cards, PSA 9s and 10s at the Dallas Card Show in November 2020 to, I know one of the cards you currently have is a Bonix Nebula.
Yep.
It's a big card.
Bonix Nebula,
right?
yeah.
Walk me through the process, maybe the thought, how you got there, what that looks like to go from trading base cards to coveting and owning some of the most desired black finites, gold kabooms, green kabooms, some of the best cards in the industry.
Yeah. Well, let me start by saying it wasn't easy, right? But it's simple steps. Number one, being open to taking risk. A lot of times people are scared to take risk in this hobby and just in life in general, and you have to be open and okay with losing.
Yep.
But when you take calculated risk, when you do the research, when you figure out what something can be worth and you're willing to take a shot at it, you can find those deals. And that's what it's come down to, and realizing that you never go broke taking profit. That has been something that I've said for the last 5 years. You can't be greedy and make money. It's funny because the definition of greed is like wanting so much money, but greed will actually lose you money because you just want so much of it that you're not willing to take a loss, or you're not willing to maybe work a deal or form a relationship because the money is so important. So just over the years, I've bought, I've sold, and then I've bought, and then I've sold, and I've just keep on building the snowball. And the snowball can be the cash flow. The snowball can be just the amount of money you have to play with to buy that card. And maybe some cards are instant sales. Some cards are maybe you have it for a week or two or a month or 6 months or a year. It doesn't matter how long you have the card, but it's taking that calculated risk. But at the same time, it's also knowing when to sell.
Yep. Timing
is everything in this hobby. And I've doubled down on just taking profit, and especially when you don't have a lot, right? If you have 10, 20K to work with, which it is a lot to some people for sure. It's a lot of money. But if you have, let's say 10K to work with and you want to build that up, I like saying 10X. If you want to 10X that, you want to go from 10K to 100K. It's not about buying a 10K card and selling it for 100K. It's about buying a $500 card and selling it for 800, and then buying a $1,000 card and selling it for 1,500. Next thing you know, you turn that 10 to 12. That 12 turns to 15. That 15 turns to 20. Maybe that 20 goes down to 16 because you take a couple L's because maybe you bought a couple things that you didn't sell at the right time.
Yep,
but it's building up the snowball, taking profit, forming relationships. In my phone, I got people who are constantly selling me cards and people who constantly want to buy cards, right? When you have the best of each side of the spectrum, where I can always go to sell a card, I can always try to buy a card. You form those relationships where it's a phone call, it's a text message away from picking up a big card or just buying a lot of cards, but I do think it really comes down to always buying. And in order to always buy, you got to always sell.
Yep.
I always say it, you sell to buy more. I'm not trying to be a museum. I'm not the Roth Cards Museum. Like, this is all my cards I've bought over the year. I haven't sold a card yet. I have no more money, but hope you like the cards. Don't get me wrong. I love sports cards. This is from when I was 8 years old and I was ripping on Christmas morning. I love cards, but I understand the business side of it at the same time. There's cards I have that are in my PC that I'm not selling. I wouldn't say my PC is some massive museum like yours is, you know what I'm saying? However, it's growing. However, the business side of me knows that in order to buy more, I have to sell.
Yep.
You got to have a good balance, and that's just one thing that I've always focused on, is that balance of selling to buy more, and just keeping the snowball growing.
Yeah, there's a couple things I took away from that I think are crucial, and things I've learned over the years, and that are extremely evident in your journey. The cash flow thing is a big deal, right? Like you said, somebody brings up a 3K card. There was times early in my journey, like I remember being at the shop and somebody brought in a rookie LeBron jambalaya, and I could not buy it, and it was a gut punch, right? Like cards you don't see every day. Those things come across,
right,
your
absolutely
desk, right? And the ability to not buy them, the cash flow piece is super important. And then I think the relationship piece is another big one. Not making it transactional, building those relationships. That's why we like Dallas so much. Brian and I talk about it a lot. Is, I could come to Dallas and deal with the same 6 to 10 people we always deal with, and it's a great show. Like, I know who I'm going to walk into that show with. I'm going to catch up with people that we deal with every single time. They're some of the best people. They're easy to work with. They have cool stuff. Just so many things that go into it. And I think that relationship side of it makes it a lot easier. And, you've brought it up multiple times now, but the ability to go backwards, to go forward, business is not emotional, right? So the hobby has emotion in it from cards. Those cards tell a story, why we buy something, why we collect something. There's a story. But if you are doing it as a business, the business has no emotion, right? The liquidity piece, the timing piece, getting rid of something, whether that's for a loss or whether that's for a profit. Like you said, can't go broke taking a profit. But I think those are the things that really stood out to me, as like, these are tried and true lessons that if you do these things, they, over time, right? This didn't happen overnight for you, and you certainly know that. But I think those are things that I look at and I'm like, all true, and I love it.
Yeah, and I think another thing is like the chase. It's the chase, like it's not so much, it's like have you ever had it where like there was a card that, or not even a specific card, you walk into a random show and it's like you're chasing that feeling of finding something that you've never seen, and I think that really, like, that's what I love most about this. It's like as a kid I went to yard sales in the flea market. It's like you just never know what you're gonna find. Like today I could find the craziest LeBron rookie, the craziest Tom Brady rookie, just walking around the show that's never seen the surface, And it's like, that's what really just keeps me motivated to just keep on going in the hobby, really. It's like the chase. But then it's on the flip side, it's like, once you get the card, it's like, it's not that it's less cool, but it's like, it's the feeling. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. It's like, the chase feeling versus having the card feeling is like, that chase feeling is like, once you get it, you're like, okay.
It's
what's the next one?
But it's a lot like life. Right?
Right.
The journey is the the destination,
the
right?
journey is the destination.
Building it is what's fun. It's not getting to the mountaintop. It's getting up the mountaintop, right? So yeah, I definitely think that is true. I would, like you said, the journey is the fun part.
Yeah.
Now you are known to go to a lot of shows. Like you guys, you guys travel everywhere. You go to a lot of shows, always on the road. I miss those days a little bit, pre-kid.
Yep.
A lot easier to travel then, but you're everywhere. You go to a lot of shows. We always get this question around, like, where should we go? Like, where are the good shows? In your experience, you've been everywhere. What would you say 3 shows that stand out to you that you're like, I love these shows? It could be big or small, but what shows do you like?
For sure, Dallas. We won't include the National in this. I would say Dallas, the West Coast Card Show / Burbank. That show is just, it's almost like a West Coast Dallas show, if I had to, describe it. It's just, the relationships over there, because a lot of times the people in Cali, like, they don't come all the way over to Florida.
Yep.
They don't come down to Texas or go to the Northeast, so
yep. Oh, yeah.
It's always good seeing the buddies over in California. And I would say the third one would probably be, are we talking favorite or just the best?
Oh, favorite for sure.
I love Hawaii. The Hawaii show is always good. That's more of a Pokemon, PopCon type of show. So that's like a little asterisk next to that one. I would say nothing just competes right now with Dallas and Burbank. Those are the top 2, in my opinion. Those are just the top 2 shows. And then Chantilly is always good. So I'll put that as a number 3. Chantilly is a great show. Just nothing competes with that. Right now, Dallas and the West Coast Card Show are like 1A and 1B.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian and I haven't been to the West Coast Card Show since the beginning. We went to the first one.
Yeah. The first one in the small building.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Brian and I went to the first one out in Burbank. Yeah, I mean, you bring it up like with the West Coast doesn't come east. Like, I mean, it's a lot of travel time to go out there to go west. Like, you got a kid, 3 hours different time zone. Like, then you lose the time coming back. Like, everything we've ever heard is that it's amazing. And it's just grown into something so, special. Yeah. The Dallas of the West Coast seems like a very fitting title. I mean, Dallas is so unique. And I think for anybody that's not been, there's so many good things that make Dallas what it is, right? It's got the longevity. It was open during COVID. That was a big thing.
Absolutely.
I think, I don't know if everybody knows that, but there wasn't a lot of card shows open during COVID. Texas was definitely open. You could come down here. And that was when the market was booming, right? Like Brian and I actually talked about this earlier. Fun fact for you: do you know what Zion PSA 10 Prism base peaked at?
I would say like 2,300.
I don't think they got quite that high. Brian, can you tell me? I think a base PSA 10 where we looked on Card
The silver's got to like 7K, I think.
That's crazy. I think they peaked at like right around 950.
Luka's got up pretty high, though.
Luka's got up pretty high. I think Zion's got to about 950. But regardless, when nothing was open, I'll get that number in a sec. But when nothing was open, Dallas was. I've always said what makes a show special is having the convention center, having it all in one space. Right. You have your rooms upstairs. You come down, the show's right there. You don't have to travel anymore. Yeah. You've got major trade nights in the lobby. Yep. Right? The trade nights afterwards, I'm sure you can attest to that. They're special here in Dallas.
They're key. They're key for the hobby, especially if you didn't have a table at the show.
Yep.
If you're just walking around, a trade night is something that you definitely got to go to.
For sure.
Let me ask you this: what do you think are parts of a show that aren't good, that people should fix?
Aren't good.
I know for me, I think a lot of shows, I think the building that they're using is too big. When you go back to Dallas hasn't changed. Dallas has been in this same building when it was packed, and it's been almost even overflowed. And I think even the first Burbank show, if you remember, it was a smaller ballroom.
Yeah.
But it was shoulder to shoulder.
Yep.
And I think there's an art there of when a room is shoulder to shoulder, the deals just flow. It's almost like, if somebody's over your shoulder, you're like, if I don't buy that card, it's gonna be gone. So it puts a little more pressure on people to spend some money and, do some deals versus if you're just in a massive convention center and half the convention center is nothing. It's just almost, it makes it not feel as busy.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. And I don't know, a lot of shows are in massive convention centers. And I just feel like as a hobby, I'm okay with a show being in a big ballroom.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need convention centers yet.
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for those. I think the growth thing over time, one of the questions I was going to ask you was, you've got that third spot open.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're building something pretty cool in, Shipshewana, Indiana. I would love to see Roth cards up there and the horse and buggy on the thumbnail.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never been there yet.
So, I would love to, one day get you up there. I know we had Jason Deal Me Slabs.
Yeah.
He's in the, he's one of the big guys here in Dallas, and he came up to it and, has said some pretty good things about it. But, on that topic, around the expansion, I think that's one thing we've struggled with there is, everybody's, the venue we're in now is 110,000 square feet.
Oh, wow, it's a big one.
Right? And I think last time rented about 54,000, 50,000. And, it was shoulder to shoulder. It was packed.
Yeah.
Packed. And everybody's like, you need more space. The wait list is 100 plus people. Get everybody in. Let's make it super big. But I think that's that fine balance
Absolutely.
Of if you have too many dealers and not enough bodies walking around, then the dealers are like, I paid all this money, I was away from my family, and I didn't sell anything. Right? But if it's too small and it's crowded, then you're like, people are like, I can't move around, I'm never going to be able to set up. So it's a tricky balance for that.
And I think Dallas has done that well. And that's why they are at that top.
But Dallas has what a lot of shows, I think, we're fortunate enough in Shipshewana to have is it has the ability to grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has side rooms, it's got ballrooms, it's got the lobby, it's got, there's a lot of space for Dallas to grow. And Dallas has done a really good job of, here's our core group in the main room, in the one side room right there. Now we're in this side room. okay, now we're in the Starlight
Right.
room. Now we're in this room. Like, and they've slowly built it up.
Yeah.
And now it's the premier card show in the country.
Absolutely, because I think like let's say the Dallas Convention Center, it's probably, you know, wherever it is in the city, it's probably 200,000 square foot. If all of a sudden they said, oh yeah, we got all these people, let's go move to there, and then everybody from the Dallas show goes there and we fill up 1/4 of the convention center, but the whole thing is open, it wouldn't have the same Dallas vibe.
Sure.
You know, so like that is the line, and I don't run shows, but you know, that's just something that I've noticed because I've been to a lot of shows,
Yep.
where it's like if you can find that line of like overpacking it a little bit, but not having so much open space, like that is the key, I think, to really seeing your show grow. You
Yep.
know, for sure.
Yeah, I think, I could sit here and talk about Dallas all day.
Oh,
It is-
100%, me too.
They've built something, you know, incredible here, and Kyle and the team do a great job, and they're good people. They've always been super friendly. I don't think I could give enough love to
Oh,
Dallas.
absolutely.
It is
yeah, no, they've done a great job.
Now, as somebody that is in the content space, loves creating content, you know, you've been able to build a following over time on, you know, IG and social, and as well as YouTube. And as you've gotten more, you know, specialized in some of the bigger items, the Grail type pieces, the Nebulas, the Black Finites, the Gold Kabooms, and the Green Kabooms, what has creating content done for you from maybe getting some of those cards to come
Oh, yeah.
up to you or to you through the mail that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise got?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the content really is about the reach. You know, it's about letting people know anywhere in the world that I am buying, you know, and that's really what I use it for. Not necessarily like, I have this card for sale, hit me if you want it. It's more like, anywhere in the world, wherever you're at, I'm buying your sports card. Send me an email, send me a DM on Instagram, you know, and then from that, it's turned into probably, you know, half the cards I buy are probably just from somebody who watched the video.
Yep.
I mean, the amount of DMs we get, you know, the comments are just always, I have this card for sale, or I'm looking to sell this, or I'm in Utah, you ever come out here, or I could ship, you know? So like from my angle, like that's really what I am posting the content for and doing the content for, is having that reach to where people just always, wherever they're at, they could sell their cards. Because I think the hobby's bigger than what we think. I think, you know, I mean, during this weekend right now, there's probably 50 other shows just in this country, and who knows where else in the world. There's probably a London show, a Singapore show, a China show, you know, like there's just so much happening, and you know, always having an outlet for people to sell their cards, whether they're hitting them on whatnot in a break or whatever their way of buying is, you know,
Yep.
having an easy way to sell a card is key, and that's really what I do the content for. So,
But I'm sure you weren't always
oh right, I mean,
you know, comfortable on camera,
Yeah,
creating
yeah.
content. Like, how have, you know, any tips or tricks or anything you can share to the audience around like how you've become much more comfortable on camera? Because I've known you for a little while,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you definitely are a lot more confident and comfortable in
sure.
that scene. And
For sure.
As somebody that does it, that is not an easy task. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't comfortable on camera to be able to, you know, grow. And you also need criticism, right? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
hey, you're buying too low. You're
Yeah, yeah,
this,
yeah.
you know, you hear it. you know.
80%.
Yeah, the trolls,
I know,
right? So
yeah,
like
yeah.
dealing with that. So like, what kind of like tips or tricks would you give anybody that like wants to be where you are?
If you want to start making videos, you can do it today, right now, with your iPhone. You know, when I started, I think I made my first card vlog March 2021. So I think here we are, 21, 22, 23, 4 years later. Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I started my iPhone, taking the iPhone. What up, guys? We're here at this show. We're walking around. We're gonna buy some cards. We're not buying $10,000 cards. I didn't have that. We're buying anything we can see in the room. Well, let's go see what we can find. You know. And,
Yep.
But that's how you could start. You don't need the fancy camera. You don't need the cameraman. You don't need the mic. You don't need the lights. You don't need. All you need is a phone and your face. You know. And growing up, I also was, you know, not making vlogs, but I've always been comfortable behind the camera. I've always been like, that's just kind of how my personality is. And
Yep.
you know, but if you want to start, you can start today. You know, and it's either day one or one day. I mean, take your phone, make a selfie vlog, post it up, and then forget about it. Make the next vlog. So many times I think we get so focused on the results, like, oh, my video only got 100 views. I wanted 500, you know, but it's like, okay, the next video will get 500 views. The next deal's the best deal. The next video's the next video. the next piece of content's the best content. Like that's always just been the motto. And when you get so caught up on the numbers, like some sadness comes in that, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, you know. But you really got to push through that. You got to push through those negative voices that try to stop you, and you really got to just double down and make it happen. And you can't just do 2 videos, you know what I mean? You got to stay consistent for a year. Give yourself 6 months. Say, all right, for the next 6 months, I'm dropping 1 video a week. Every Wednesday, 8 p.m., do it. Doesn't mean you have to do it for the rest of your life, but do it for 6 months. See how you like it. If you like it, then you can continue to do it. If you don't like it, well, then you pivot and try something else, you know? And like, that's just how it has to be. There's so many excuses, and there's so many ways people can just be, I don't know, like, you just got to try, you know? And that's what it comes down to.
My guy's a walking inspirational, like, poster. I mean, day one or one day, like, you know, no excuses. I mean, I love it. I love it. I love the...
I got my little notebook ready.
Yeah. But I think that's so true. I think the consistency thing is such a big deal. It is easy to be discouraged by, you know, we talked about that before with, you know, our guy Brent, the first guest on here, and we talked to him. It's, you know, and I'm sure you can attest to this, that like there's videos you put out that like, this video is going to crush. It is so good, and it gets like no views. Yep. And then you put out a random video doing this, you're just like, okay, I got to keep up with the content, I got to be consistent, and it crushes, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. And I think that's one of those things that you see with repetition, and that you see over time, that you might not see if you only post for a month and every video gets 100 views. But I think over the 6 month, over that year, over time, you learn. And I think that was the other piece I took away, I've taken away from a lot of our conversation, is a lot of the value is in the lesson, right? Is in the actual repetition. Selling an item, understanding, okay, Black Friday nights sell well, understanding kabooms are in demand, understanding that, okay, the loss can still help me go forward, and that, okay, this video, this thumbnail did well, or this title did well, or, you know, I think the lesson and like the learning from that is worth just as much as the transaction or as the actual video itself. It's absolutely, you're learning, and those things help you get better. The lesson is like, the lesson is equivalent to the journey. You know, I mean, just by doing, you're learning and you're growing and you're getting better, and then you take notes and then you fix it and you grow, and then the next time you do it, it's going to even be better. But if you never do it the first time, you'll never learn from it. Everybody wants to start at level 100. Well, first you got to start at level 1. You know, and then from level 1 you go to 2, and then from 2 you can go to 4, then 4 to 8. Like, that's just how it has to work. But we live in a society where instant gratification is like, you gotta have it right now, and if you don't, then you're missing out. I'm 28 years old. I'm 28 and I'm not living in Dubai yet. But it's like, bro, like, that time can come. But right now you got to focus on today and the present and the moment, and making the most of just this weekend, you know, here at the Dallas show. Like, that's just my motto, is just staying present, and just, that's my quote. Let me go. Well, I'm going to try to get one more quote out of you, because we could sit here and talk all day. Absolutely. Obviously, I'm so grateful for you coming on here. But I want to give the listeners something else. I end every podcast with the same question. You know, you've been in this now 5+ years. You've built something really incredible, and that is a testament to who you are. And it's been fun to get to watch you grow. Thank you. And over that 5 years, it's been a journey. But if you were starting over today, knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself? I would tell myself to, first, always take profit, right? That's one thing that we learned early. Form relationships, more relationships. Relationships are always more important than money. And just double down on that. The last piece would be take risk. Take just more risk. There's been times where I was like, oh, I wish I would have bought that card. 100%. But a lot of times I don't say, I wish I never bought that card. And I think that's something that I'm even working on right now. I would always rather wish I didn't buy a card than I did. And even a week later, 2 weeks later, you're like, oh my gosh, I could have bought that card for this amount, and it just sold on Golden, or just sold on an auction house, whatever, for way more than what I could have got it for. So I think a lot of times fear comes into it, because you start making some money, and you're like, I don't want to lose this money that I worked hard for. But in order to get to that next level, it's going to take more risk. It's going to take more research. It's going to take more of a financial, spending more money to get to that next level that you want to get to. So
I would 100% tell myself to double down, take more calculated risk, and if you have that feeling about a card, buy it.
Yep.
Because anytime I had that feeling about a card and I bought it, it always worked out.
Yep.
It always does.
I love it. Well, I could sit here and chat all day, but I think we've got a show to get to.
We got a show to get to.
Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Roth Cards. Always buying, always selling, always trading, and always traveling to card shows. So check out the content. We're always going to card shows, and we have a lot more in store and a lot more coming. So let's get it.
Make sure you guys check them out. Hopefully we'll have Roth Cards at Shipshawana here soon. But again, make sure you guys check them out. Shout out to Josh for coming on the podcast. That's all I got for now, guys.
Let's get it.
All right, shout out to my guy Josh for the time at the Dallas Card Show. I mentioned it previously, but I probably saw some similarities between his interview and Kyle's, which is always fun to see. You see a lot of the same, consistent message from those two, and it was refreshing to hear, but appreciate Josh's time as well. So at this point, would love to hear who you guys want to see next on this podcast here. We've got those three incredible interviews now live from Dallas with CJ, Kyle, and Josh. But at this point, certainly open to some ideas on who we should have on. So if you guys have any feedback, shoot us a DM, Cards and Content on IG, comment on the YouTube video. Let us know. Would love to see who you guys want on next. All right, we got some product dropping this week worth noting. I mentioned it earlier in this episode, but the big one for me, no question, 24-25 Bowman Chrome U basketball. Obviously exciting with Cooper Flag in there. His first Duke licensed pack pulled autos. He's obviously got McDonald's All-American stuff, which sells really well, $500+ autos. But this will be his first one in a Duke uniform. So that is obviously a big get for the card market there. Unfortunately, one of the other big names in this product was Juju Watkins, who I was watching live when she went down, excruciating pain, confirmed pretty quickly after she tore her ACL, likely out into the start of next season. An absolutely fantastic basketball player. This will be her first one in a USC uniform. I think her first one was in like her high school uniform. So unfortunately, one of the biggest names, because this product came out a little bit later, will be will be hurt when the product drops. I still think she's got a long career ahead of her. She's a big time basketball player. But that obviously doesn't help days before the release. You've got some other big names. Harper and Bailey from Rutgers are in this. There's a couple other ones. We were talking about this internally the other day. I think Hidalgo's in this. I would have to double check. But I know there's a couple big time women's basketball players in this set. So I'm excited for that. Then we've got a few other products dropping this week. Inception Football, more 2024 stuff. The Marvin lawsuit with Fanatics was settled recently. I think this was early March. It was announced that it was settled. And Marvin actually had autographs in Topps Finest Football, which recently released. Now you've got Inception out. There's no checklist that we've seen so far, but you would expect Marvin is also in that as well. That would add Marvin to a list of Xavier Worthy, Neighbors, Brock Bowers, those receiver tight ends, on top of Drake May, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels, who they have had in other Topps products. You would assume those names would continue, but obviously the biggest 6 to 10 names in the 2024 class are Topps exclusive right now. So that comes out later this week. You've got UFC Royalty. You've got Leaf Metal Legends Hockey, Select Baseball, and Finest MLS Soccer. So decent amount of product dropping this week. But for me, no question, I will be chasing Cooper Flag and Bowman Chrome U. And that is a wrap. A lot of fun discussions on this one. Continue to provide that feedback. Continue to let us know what you like, what you don't like. Anything is helpful at this point as we try to mold this into a weekly podcast that provides value and can share some cool insights into the hobby. So drop those comments. Let us know. But for now, guys, that is all I got. Peace, guys.